Hi, everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for over 10 years now, I'm going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Val Talks Pets. On this episode, I have a guest with me who is a first-time author, and I think you're going to be quite enlightened with regards to the topic. Erika Sinner is the author of Pets Are Family. Now, I know that everyone listening knows that, but how many of you are given any bereavement time if you have one of your fur kids pass away? We know that companies extend time to an employee who has had a loved one, a human loved one, pass away. But why is it that employers do not see the passing of a beloved pet the same as having a human loved one pass away? Erika is a successful CEO in her own right, but she is also a dog mom and an advocate for this very topic. I think many who are listening to this episode will have a real light bulb moment. So, with no further ado, let's get talking to Erika. Hi, Erika. Welcome to Val Talks Pets.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. So, Erika, you're the author of the book, Pets Are Family.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. And your direction with this book, I see, is, and also your other endeavors as well, are to shed light and advocate for empathy with regards to people who have pets and have gone through the loss of a pet. Is that fair to say?
100%. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you've really maybe we can start by talking about how you have redefined the acronym CEO to Chief Empathy Officer. And what is this? And, maybe you can describe this idea of empathy-driven leadership you were talking about.
Absolutely. So I am a CEO today, a traditional Chief Executive Officer of a company called Directory. We help small to mid-sized pharmaceutical companies launch their important medicines. So it's not the big pharmas, but it's these smaller companies. Last year, when I lost my dog Kingston over the summer, we've always had pet bereavement leave in our policy. I've had that since I founded my company 5 years ago. I always knew I was going to need it. I didn't know how much I was going to need it. And then after Kingston passed, 21 days later, Edmund was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. He's my other Shar-Pei.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that the idea behind Chief Empathy Officer is putting my own twist on my title of Chief Executive Officer. And really, I feel so lucky that I own my own company so I could take the time off. But the shame that I felt even when I owned my company and have pet bereavement leave, I still felt like people weren't going to understand. I thought my employees might think it's just a dog. Like, can she not get it together? Or did they think I was going to be weak? Or am I leading in the right way? And I think that inspired this whole movement around empathy-driven leadership, is being able to talk about things that happen outside of work at work because it matters. It affects work. And I feel a responsibility now because I was able to take the time off for others to have that experience. I just feel like if I felt that way in my position, I can't imagine what it would feel like if you're an employee at an organization and you lose a family member who just happens to be furry, that you wouldn't have even a single day to grieve.
That's so true. Well, so what length of time did you take, for example, or what do people normally see that they would need? Or, I'm sure that's individual, but, what time did you take?
So for me, we have 3 days for pet bereavement leave. We have a little longer for humans, wives, husbands, partners, children. And I think that's one thing that while I had pet bereavement leave, I think it is equal to immediate family members. So we will be updating that in our policies. Um, but what I took was I took the traditional time for Kingston. And then by the time Edmund was diagnosed and we had a summer of radiation and surgeries and all of the other things, I got a lot of flexibility within my role because of my position. Um, and so I guess for me, what I'm advocating for is even just to get employers at the table, being an employer myself. I feel like if I can do it at the size of my company, these bigger companies could, and there's a way to do it. Um, I think grief is patient. I think grief is different for everyone. I've been learning a lot more about the grief process and how that doesn't happen in a specific order. Um, so, I guess for me, I know there's other movements out there of extending bereavement leave, even for human beings. I haven't seen anyone talking about it for pets specifically. And I understand that not everyone can get there. And so that's why for me, even just starting with a single day with an organization, I think just by putting that one day in black and white in a policy starts the conversation. And then maybe they can see, wow, this is really signaling to my employees I care about them, that I recognize they have a life outside of work, that this is important. This is an important, family member within their own family. And then we could grow from there. So we have a lot of work to do, but we're getting traction already with the conversation. And I think the more open I am about it, and the fact that I am an employer is again why I feel this responsibility, because I can really feel like I can talk to another organization and say, nope, this is possible. I recognize how much it costs when an employee is off. I recognize when there's deliverables. I recognize when there's hourly positions. There is a way to manage bereavement leave or helping your employee integrate back into work. It's this acknowledgement that it's not just a dog or it's not just a cat or a bunny. These are furry family members. And I consider myself a pet parent.
Mhm.
I call they're my kids. And so it only makes sense. And so that's really my goal is trying to help others understand the same concepts that we apply to human loss is the same. And for me personally, I feel like for a furry family member, it has actually been harder because they are with you every day and they are asleep in our bed, and they're everywhere you look in your house, there's memories of them. And I just truly believe you let pets into your heart, into places like you would never trust another human being to go to. So
That's so true.
it was really hard. It still is really hard.
It is. And I don't think I've heard of any employer that does this. I've never heard this. And I mean, it's a fantastic thing, honestly, because there's, oh my gosh, the people that you speak to and the people that you encounter and what they've gone through and how they are dealing with it or not dealing with it. And then you're faced with going to work. And if you don't, your employer just thinks, well, yeah, exactly what you said. Get over it, get to work,
Yeah. Or you take a PTO day and they think, oh,
Mhm.
you're having fun and you're going to come back refreshed. But it's really no, it's bereavement leave. I also love what you just said of people are dealing with it or they're not dealing with it. I think I even tried to push the feelings down. So even for myself, my husband and I, we chose not to have human kids. So,
Mhm.
chose dogs as our kids. And so I even myself didn't appreciate how much it was going to hurt. Um, and also how much shame I would feel around it, given how, we have an Instagram account for our dogs. We talk about our dogs as their kids.
Yeah.
Prioritize them, and still I'm feeling uncomfortable talking about it, that I know we can't normalize something without talking about it. So here's to being vulnerable and just and having conversations.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, one of the things that when I do encounter someone, they'll have to come in and they'll say, well, unfortunately we lost, so-and-so yesterday or whatever. And the only thing we can say is we're all pet parents and we know what you're going through. There is no words. I do not have words. I can only tell you that I know.
Yep.
because it's true. And not, we all have crazy stories, but I had several years back now, I think we're going on to maybe 10 years ago. So I had a stray cat. He showed up at my door and everything. Okay, fine. Come on in. You're welcome. And I always found him really interesting. And I called him, he was my person. He turned out to be my person. And he had eventually was diagnosed with feline AIDS. And so he, I kept him going for quite a while. But when he passed away in my arms, in the bed with me. But I had to keep on going down to another job. It took me an hour to get there. So I was an hour down to my job, an hour back, and this kind of thing. And I would drive down, do what I had to do. And then on my way home, I would just cry all the way home. For an hour, I would just cry all the way home, saying, I want him back. I want him back now, and I would just do that.
Yeah.
And, less and less as time went on. But at first, that's all I did was I would just drive home crying.
Yes.
Yes.
I allowed myself to cry the first few days of the bereavement leave that we had because I was like, okay, this is what I put in my policy. This is what I planned for. Of course, this hurts so badly. And then it wasn't going away. And I was still like ugly crying, like sobbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To breathe. That's when I really was like something like, is this supposed to hurt this bad? And something you just said too about this was your person. I feel the same in terms of, I really feel like every animal has their own unique soul. So you have your own unique relationship with them in the same way with human beings. There's some that you're really close to, and then others you care about them, but they're not as close to some of those really important relationships to you. And so I even feel like somebody listening to this podcast, I mean, you could have lost one animal and cried for a few days, and then you're like, okay, I understand they were older or whatever the reason might be. And then there might be another one where you're completely devastated because it was a different relationship. So you had mentioned something that made me think about that I wanted to say that too, that it is unique relationships with them. Like there's a real bond that's there.
Yeah. And it's absolutely different for everyone. We know that. And I think that one of the things that you did, you also touch on is because we're dealing with the improvement of mental health and well-being for everyone. Pet parents know this. We know that they make such a significant difference in our, you have that day and who do you come home to? But right? Your hugs from your pet or your cat, and you just, they're there just to be there for you. And they make such a difference in our lives. Is there any significant with regards to that particular thing that you found doing research or anything that you've been able to put towards your policies or?
Yeah, so this year we added an additional mental health day so that it wouldn't be just bereavement. No, okay. Knowing the grief is patient. I also, hearing you earlier say, I haven't heard of another company do pet bereavement.
No.
A lot of our employees, when they're interviewing, they're like, this is so different. And everyone's like, oh, it's our CEO. She's, didn't have kids. She had dogs. But they're like, no, but this is really cool. Like, this is my family too. I think a lot more families are even deciding not to have human kids, and everybody gets to decide what their family structure is going to be. But I think in terms of mental health, I think my employees specifically have said the bereavement alone was really great. And then now with my own experience, adding that additional mental health day that could just happen at some point in the year, you don't know what it's going to be, when it's going to hit you so much that like today is the day I can't get out of bed because I'm still mad that they're not here with me and this isn't fair. And you have all the feelings. But I talk about it in my book too, of my own mental health journey. It was interesting because I own a company that helps pharmaceutical companies help their important medications get to the right doctors to identify the right patients that this will be life-changing for. And when we do that, like we also help patients advocate for themselves and get second opinions. And I believe in the healthcare system. I believe in taking care of mental health. I'm in it. And yet here, when I'm struggling, it took some time before I finally admitted to myself, if you fall down and you break your arm and you get a cast, everybody's like, oh, of course you broke your arm, and you just talk about it. I was really struggling. And I finally was like, I need to go to my primary care doctor. Like, my brain is also an organ. My mental health is affecting my body. Like, I'm now having outwardly, I'm shaking, or I'm not able to think. I'm there's outwardly facing things now that I can't seem to keep shoving down. And so my primary care, that was an interesting conversation. He was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But he also recommended that I go to therapy, and I found a therapist who does EMDR, and that also has been something. I went to the therapist and I even said, I don't even know if I should be sitting here. You probably think I'm crazy, that I can't manage myself. And as soon as I told her what was going on, she said, I don't think you're alone. I think people are just too embarrassed to come in here, or they don't think that this is worthwhile to come in here to talk about.
Right.
But grief is grief. And I help people with grief every single day. And so that's what we just need to work through, is processing your emotions and moving through them.
Interesting. EMDR?
Yes.
What's EMDR?
So EMDR it's something they've been using for PTSD in the military, and it's only in the last 15 years that it's come out to the general public. It's this idea that your brain and your memories, while it is an organ, your memories and who you are, like how you perceive the world, your emotions, they do tie together, but there are times when you go through traumatic experiences where your body, in an effort to protect you, kind of shuts, your brain goes offline. And so then you remember that experience with a different emotion. So, when you're if you're in the living room and then you see a black line and you jump back and you thought it was a snake and it was just the cord of your TV.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like that. So your brain thought ahead, your body jumped back before your brain processed, oh, it's just a TV cord. Yeah. So EMDR is thinking about that the opposite way, where you have this traumatic experience, and every time it comes into your mind, your body starts to shake and you're immobile, you're traumatized by this experience. And so by doing EMDR, which there's multiple methods of how they do it, it is helping your brain reassign the correct emotion to the situation. Yes.
Fascinating.
No, I never thought I would learn this, but it was, I wrote about it in my book. It was that life-changing for me too.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was glad that you pointed that out, because not that long ago, so very good friend, she lost a dog that she'd had for 17 years. The dog was almost 18. She had it since it was a puppy. Anyways, really starting to notice struggling.
Yeah.
And I said, you may need to go and see your doctor.
Yeah.
You probably need a bit of help. And I don't know whether that's going to be through something counseling wise or something maybe pharmaceutical. I don't know, but you do need help.
Yeah.
And it's probably time to see the doctor.
Good.
And I'm so glad. So I'm really glad you said that, because that just sort of verifies, because I was thinking, you need to maybe tell the doctor this is what's happened. And if your doctor is the one for you, they're going to say, I understand. Let's see what we can do. Right?
Yes. Yes. Even for my doctor, he recognized too. He'd never had this conversation before. I have been coming there for years. I could see he was navigating how to have the conversation with me, because I was upset, but it's your dog. And yes. And okay, but he could see visibly I'm agitated, I'm anxious, I'm crying already. I've never cried, and I've had lots of other things, right, that I've come in to see him. And so it was just interesting. I wrote in my book too, I didn't say this to him because he did a great job in how he helped my care plan and recommending therapy. But I just wondered in my book, I just thought out loud, my thinking was, had I come in and said I lost my human son, how much faster would that conversation gone, right? Like, well, you even had to have come in. Would he have just been like, here's what you need to do?
Yeah.
So it is interesting to think about. And I think that's what I'm trying to normalize too, because I love that you told your friend that you might need help. I don't think that that's everybody's default. And that's only if somebody's even willing to open up to talk about it. Because I think sometimes you even have to ask. I was talking to one of our Instagram followers who's a friend of mine now. He was saying when he talks to his family and friends, if they have human kids, he's like, it's almost like I have to ask them for permission to grieve because it's not a human. So, and I'm really upset. So it's almost like I have to ask permission to say this is equally as painful as what it would be like if you lost one of your kids. And that's an interesting thing to have to work through when you just really need to talk to someone.
Yes. And I think that if you're speaking to parents and trying to equate the loss of a child to the loss of an animal, the parent of the human child is going to think, no way, pal, you're not in the same thing here.
100%.
But yeah, but the level of pain is significant.
Yeah. It is so significant. I think, and as I'm talking to more people who are now open to sharing their stories, there's a lot of different types of pain, whether there's the anticipatory grief where your pet has cancer for a long time and you're watching them pass and you can't even explain to them what's going on. Like they're not even a human being, a child who's like 5 years old that you can talk to and say, I'm here. It's okay. I'm not going to leave you here. I know. Yeah. And with his surgeries, every time I'm like, I just hope he knows I'm coming back for him. But then there's also the sudden ones where it was an accident. And all of them, I think the important thing I've been realizing is there's not one is greater than the other in terms of like whether you got more time or you got to say goodbye or was an accident or was right away. And so as I think about that, then when I think about parents who have human kids, no one's trying to outweigh anyone's pain. It's just that no one really knows how much the pain is except for the person going through it. So really love somebody and care about them. That's all you have to do is just say, this really sucks and I am sorry you were hurting. Like that's it, right? Like,
yeah. Acknowledging that there's a very valid, emotion going on here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because now you've kind of incorporated not just the idea of getting employers to recognize this, but now you're talking about the medical community as well.
Oh, yes.
I'm actually interested in that. I think the next time I have a little chat with my own doctor, I think I'll ask her that.
Yeah.
Just to get an idea what she thinks and where her headspace is.
Yeah. I mean, so my book signing event is coming up. My book's actually being released on Kingston's birthday, which I did not pick. So,
okay.
Whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, there's something happened there. But at my book signing, I'm actually having a psychologist from Stanford come to do a panel presentation to add some credibility around this is real. Like this is real grief. This is real processing. And that was planned before, but I just in the past few weeks, an Instagram follower reached out and he had said, I just wanted you to know the additional work that you're doing around pet bereavement leave. I just want you to know that I appreciate that you're doing that. Like I followed your account for years. I followed Kingston's story, Edmund's story, but this feels different. And I never thought about it until I just lost my dog 2 days ago. Oh. I am a Harvard psychiatrist. I treat patients and I am not clear on how I should move forward myself right now. And I also am not fully comfortable talking to my colleagues about why I cannot come into work. And when I got the message, and now we talk on the phone, and I'm in the same way I'm flying Stanford in to do this book signing, I was like, we have to do other things, right? Like you have to tell that story. Like for me, from an employer standpoint, I'm pushing the agenda of like, this is possible. Everyone can agree this is a sad topic. And when you finally open up about it to somebody else, it's usually met with, oh my gosh, me too. I'm hurting too. But I don't think it's enough. I think we need to set up structures, support systems around people before we get there, right? We're all comfortable sharing fun pictures and when we get our dogs, but we're not comfortable when they pass. And I know as a society, we're not comfortable talking about grief, even with humans. Everybody wants to get back to normal and just be happy again. So I feel like for him to come from a psychiatrist standpoint who's actually experienced it and then also felt the same shame that I did, I told him, I was like, you have a responsibility. Like, I have a responsibility because I'm lucky enough to take off work. But the general public would have thought you would have known how to deal with this. And the part is we're both human beings. Of course, you would have your own feelings because it's a society we haven't accepted that it's hard.
Yes. Oh boy. Well, what an epiphany for him.
Well, he signed on. So hopefully you'll see him doing things with me at some point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at trying to open this conversation at your work, for example, and you're trying to get your, maybe speak to whomever it is, your bosses or whatever, about this idea about bereavement for the loss of a family pet and everything, maybe we could get this as part of something that we do here, a corporate policy or whatever. How would you even what would you even suggest to them?
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
So my book, so I'm not an author. I run a company. Like, that's what I know how to do.
Yeah, but you're an author. You have a book.
But I started off with saying, like, I never thought this was going to be the case. So I don't know if you're supposed to include pictures or not, or if you're like, there might be run-on sentences, or like, I'm being open and being vulnerable. And my book is also not set up. Well, I hope everyone who picks it up reads it from start to finish, because I poured my heart and soul into this book. It's really broken into five parts, and that fifth part is resources. And so,
oh, nice.
Yeah, and the resources really are for the 4 different types of groups. One is for, I believe, the veterinarian field needs help. They have a huge weight on their shoulders in terms of, their patients' lives are shorter. Parents are becoming even more connected with their pets. It's not like they're a pediatrician where their patient's going to turn 18 and they go see a primary care. So and there's also a shortage. There's so many things to talk about in terms of veterinary.
Well, there's shortages of veterinarians everywhere. We know that.
Yeah, there's only 2 oncologists canine in the state of Missouri. I mean, yeah. So one part is for them. The second part of my resources is for if you're a family or friend who is trying to support somebody who's lost a pet. If you don't understand why they're hurting, I have some quick things for you to read that are referenced out to actual professors and clinicians, not just me. But also ideas of text messages you could send that would go a long way, that you don't have to spend a single dollar. You can just say, hey, this is really hard. And even if you could mention their pet's name, that would mean the world to someone. Even if you said, you don't have to write back to me, just a simple text can change a lot for someone. But also, if you want to send them things, here's some ideas of gifts that you could send, because it's not like the meal train or when like a human being passes. So there's other ways to honor your pets. So that's the second group in the resources. The third group is for pet parents. So if you're going through it and you are like, I have no energy to read this book right now, I'm currently in the midst of just my complete and utter grief, there's quick resources for you to read that are clinical in nature in terms of validating every single feeling that you have. And so that's off the back of the book. And then the fourth is this employer piece. So I partnered with my own HR department, but also there's a company who advises HR across a lot of different industries. And I asked her, how would an employee come? Like, what would they need to say to you to get this to be a discussion? And so she helped me. Her name is Erin Barr. I credit her in my book. She helped create, there's an email template you could send to HR. There is 2 documents you could attach to an email that are on my website, petsorfamily.info, which are PDFs. And they reference the society called SHRM, which is like the governing body of all HR. Again, the things I'm learning throughout this process.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But so she helped me really figure out, and she said if they sent this email and they attached these documents, it would at least add legitimacy. It would open the conversation. And then there's also FAQs, because the moment you bring this up to HR, it isn't just always them. Like, they then have to come to the executive team and get approval, because it does cost money when an employee doesn't work, right? Like, in an overall revenue standpoint. And there's also like, how do you think about it? Like, how do you make them prove it? Do you make them bring something in? Do you what does the policy look like? And so these FAQs, I think, help an HR professional think about, how do you do it for human beings? If you are a retail store and maybe you have hourly employees, and maybe if a human being passes and you do ask them to bring in an obituary, maybe there's a receipt from your veterinarian that you could bring in. I don't know. Right? Like, what do you do for humans? And then how do you apply that to pets is really the way that the FAQ document works. So at least it allows the conversation to start. And the ask really is a single day. And it explicitly says, like, we are not asking for parity, while I think that we should. I also think just trying to meet in the middle to even get them to be open to it. I think starting with one day, I think could at least start a movement. But that's included in the back of my book too, as part 5, like that part 5 of resources, for this specific reason of, I can imagine that it would be hard to go into an organization to try to convince them, but the 3 things in terms of the attachments and the emails, I've gotten notes that they've worked. I had one follower reach out and said, my HR department might call you and ask you some questions. And I was like, if you want me just to copy and paste what I have in my policy and put it out there, I'll send it to you. And so then they didn't call. She just said, can you do that? And she said, it's added. So it got added to their company. And it was even in the dog industry. So for my book signing, I have a couple of sponsors of local companies here in St. Louis. And when I talked to them about it, one of them was like, Erika, of course this should be in the policy. Here I am in the dog industry. And I have it in my, it's like, and I said, it's just that attention hasn't been brought to it. That's it. And now that it's here, we can do something about it. And how wonderful is that?
That's amazing. And I'm like, I'm thinking my head's going around in circles now, because I'm in that industry, and I'm like, pretty sure I wouldn't be able to have any time off. No.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Even a day. And I know a day isn't going to fix it. It's more of like a day, at least to me, like from an employer standpoint, again, signals to your employee you care about them as a human. But as an employee, if I got a day, at least there's a black and white policy that tells me, of course I should be grieving. Even my company thinks so. So yes, I'm going to take the day and I'm just going to cry it out, and because I miss my family member.
Yeah.
You know?
That sounds like amazing resources. Is this the 3 actionable ways that you're talking about to support an employee? Okay.
Yes. In the employer resources too, I have some management training around how to welcome them back in, or how to not be so shocked. Somebody says to you, my dog just died, to not just be like, oh, well, it's just your dog, right? Like, employers should spend time talking to their employees, managers especially, like your line managers are responsible for the culture at your company. Talk about that too. But then for pet parents, in their section of the resources, I drafted emails that I would want to receive that I think would help them. So it's emails that say things like, hi, boss. Thank you for letting me have the day off. I'm looking forward to coming back. I know we have a lot of projects that are due. I'm struggling. Can you help me prioritize my work so that I can still deliver on the most important projects, but that I'm easing in to ensure that there's quality in my work? So like, I've really tried to like, I've modeled out an email that at least if you're coming back with grief, one, it's already hard for you to think, but you're outlining for your boss, like, the benefit to them of letting you slow down. And also that you're saying, I'm invested in my job. I want to do a good job. I'm a good employee, but I'm also really hurting right now. So can you help me prioritize, how we can slowly come back in? So there's a couple of things like that too in the resources section.
Wow. But that is so well thought out. I think those are incredibly valuable. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to access some of these email templates that you have. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, you're right. If this is pet industry, we should be, they talk about everything that's so important and the whole bit, but hey, we need to take care of ourselves when this happens. And
yes,
everybody goes through it in the industry because we all have pets.
Yes, I have, I even have text messages of like, here, if you are a pet parent that just lost a furry family member, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to cancel plans. It's okay that you told somebody you were going to come to their barbecue and now you changed your mind the day of 1 hour before. And here's a text message you could send. And I have them. I'm just like, literally just type this out and send it. And then that's it. And let it go. And now like you have to take care of yourself. And I think sometimes someone just has to say it's okay. And then you can do it. I don't know why that is. Not that I'm the big permission person. It's more of just like paying attention to like, you can do this.
Yeah.
It was hard for me. But yeah, I mean, I really tried to think about that for those 4 groups in my book. I think my book is really for, the resources are for those 4 groups, but I would say the rest of the book is, so part 1, and I outline this, I say like, here I am sitting in front of you as a CEO of a flourishing company in a very happy marriage with a great life. And I'm telling you, this is the hardest thing I've ever been through. And you know nothing about me. So you might be like, oh, well, you live this plush life. Like, you don't have a boss. You own your own company. Like, of course, this might be the hardest thing you've ever dealt with. So I explain part 1 is I'm going to get vulnerable with you. I'm going to tell you how I came from nothing, how I was on food stamps, how we lived in a trailer park, how I have been through really hard things. And I'm still sitting here telling you this is the hardest thing I've ever been through. And I say, if you don't need me to prove that to you, you don't even have to read part 1. Like, you can move right to part 2. Part 2 is, if you don't understand why pets are family, then this is the part that hopefully by the end of it, you fall in love with our family and you see why I call my kids kids without this prerequisite of fur. If you are already there with me and you're a grieving parent where you're like, hey, I'll learn about you later, or I'll figure out your family later. I need support right now. Part 3 is like, you're in the middle of it. It's when Kingston passed. It is at my lowest moments. It is the darkest thoughts. It is all of it. And that is more just to make sure that people feel seen and heard, and all of the things that you are thinking are normal, more than normal. And then if you're like, I've made it past that, I want to heal, that's part 4. So part 4 starts talking about my therapy. It starts talking about how my husband and I, like, we had this realization where it's almost like we had to remind ourselves how to feel joy again. Like,
Yeah.
taking our other puppies, for walks, and their tails with playing, and in little bits at a time, you're starting to have happy memories and you're starting to laugh again. And part 4 is all about healing. And then I end the part 4 with just a love letter to anyone who's read my book before you go into the resources section. So I don't know, that's why I say, like, I know I'm technically an author now, but yeah, I don't know how you write book, but but that's how that's one.
Well,
I think when you talked about how that's a great way to set it up, and I think, you know, your resources and everything as people journey through, and then they will be looking for it. So when someone, like you mentioned about ways that we can honor our pets when they've passed, and I think that this is important. We do this with our humans, and I think we need to do this with our animals as well. I've always done something. Our little cat, she passed away just 2 years ago. That went really fast. 2 years has gone so quickly, I can't even remember. But she had a really weird cancer, and it was very odd. But, you know, I kept on saying to the vet, look, she's not going to get better. We know that. We'll just keep her comfortable until we can't. Yeah. But I kept on, my biggest thing was, I just want you to go when you want to go. Yeah. I don't want to make that decision for you.
It's hard.
I just want, I hate that, right? I just want you to go when you're ready to go. So she did.
That's a gift.
Yeah, it's a total gift because she's in her little bed. She was under a little blanket. She was in the room with us on a chair. And in the morning, she was gone. And that actually, for me, was, I'm okay. I'm okay with this because I didn't have to do that. I don't want to, but, you know, yeah. When you do, you do. But so I just happened to notice that there was still some of her fur in a brush. So I'm like, oh, look it. So I took the fur out of her brush.
Yeah.
And I did up a little something on the computer and I put it in a frame.
I love that.
So, you know, and I've a lot of my listeners know this. I have a pet cemetery on our property.
I love that too.
Because I have some property. And so on the property, there's an area where I've been burying the animals as they've passed. And they all have a little marker or something. And then I just spread forget-me-nots up there and everything. The only one who's not buried there is my horse. That I could not dig. No way. So, but yeah, they're all up there and they all have their little spots and they all have a little something on there. And yeah, it's all about, and you have a little, people that are listening. We're actually on Zoom with Erika. So I'm seeing her dog having a little visit right now. But what would you suggest for honoring a pet?
I have to first say, I think that's so beautiful. I think if we knew this was going to be our forever home, like you said, you have land, so that's your I think I would want that too. In the same way that we have graveyards and you want a place to go visit, you know, your loved ones. So what we've done is we have an altar for Kingston. So we have the ashes in a box, and we have his paw print next to it, pictures behind him. There's our family photo above him. His bowl is there. We got a lot of cards for him. His vet actually donated to the university for oncology, so we put that letter in there too. And we have more kids, and so I think it's important to have a place to be able to go to be able to. I walk by there and I'm like, I talk to him. I am just I just like good morning, or whatever it is. Like it's remembering them. I think is a bigger thing of having a place to go to remember them, or to feel like you have a place to connect to them, even though you could talk to them at any time. I like you with the hair. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I have not allowed for our windows to be washed since May of last year because I nose smudges to go away. That makes, I told myself I was not going to cry. I don't know when that's going to happen. But in time for now, in time, hard to look out the windows. But I think honoring your pet is, for me, I think it's having a place to go to. It is keeping their memory alive and talking to other people about them and telling stories about them, about their crazy zoomies or the things that they did. And you actually will find I have found deeper connection with other humans when we talk about our pets. And I also, for me, while I have pet bereavement leave, I plan to take the day off on Kingston's birthday and also on the day that he passed. That's just for me moving forward, what I plan to do. And we're going to do his favorite things. You know, he loved steak. So maybe my husband and I will go get steak dinner somewhere and say, Kingston would have loved this. But I think those are ways that we honor him.
Yeah, and everybody's different, you know. And I think it's good. It's always good to hear what other people do.
Yeah,
you know, because it also sometimes someone would go, "Oh, see, I was kind of thinking I might have been a bit crazy doing that." And it's like, no, you're not. You know, a special card, put it in a frame.
Yeah.
Like when I put Esme's fur in the. I actually have I have a stuffed Rottweiler. He's about 2 feet tall. I've had him for years, and I was given to me as a gift because I had a Rottweiler, and I'm talking years ago now. But he still has the collar on that belonged to that dog.
That's it.
So yeah,
I'm jealous you have so much hair. Like we got the paw print, and there's one strand of golden hair that was somehow maybe when they did it, and then they sent it to us that happened to be there. And more than anything, I'm like, I just wish I had even a clump. Like I just want to smell them one more time, or you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean, and the tangible thing, right? That you can actually, But everybody's different, but I think I think we're all about sort of talking about permission here. And if you think that you're doing something that people are going to think I'm nuts because this is for my dog, you're not. It's what makes you feel good, and it makes you feel better. And there's absolutely whatever you need.
Let them, even if they. Yeah, it's weird. I just found out somebody had a celebration of life, and they sent invites, and their family and friends came, their veterinarian came, their vet came. I know. I was impressed. Like, wow. Yes. And I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, if only this was a normal thing. And they were kind of like, they didn't know if they should tell me until they found out I'm doing all of these things. They're like, oh, you would understand. But yeah, like these are the things, like we should let ourselves be weird and bring the weird, you know?
That's funny that you say that. So I think I've mentioned this in another episode, some along their lines. So we had a store cat that came to us, and we didn't have her very long because it turned out she had feline leukemia. So we didn't know that. She was a stray picked up by sort of a rescue organization, and she was great. And so anyways, she was bleeding out. So she was under at the emergency vet. That's fine. So this is so weird because it was winter. And I said to this clinic, who wasn't even our regular clinic, I said, do you think you'd be able to put her in your freezer until I can springtime, and I can dig a hole and I'll put her at my house? And they said, absolutely. Found out later that a lot of veterinarians actually charge you to do that.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Well, yeah. And I thought I've done it again too when that's happened to me. With the one who was my person, I had to do that. Same thing, died in February. I can't dig a hole in February. I'm sorry. So the vet put him in the freezer. But I also found out that some vets were charging for that. And I thought, oh boy, way to kick you when you're down, right? But anyway, went and picked her up in the spring and got out there digging a hole and everything like that. So the staff wanted to get together. And so we said, it sounds like a great idea because we're going to actually physically bury her now.
Yes.
They got her back from the vet. So I got they're actually photo boxes, but you can get them at, where did I get it? Like at Winners or something. And they're really pretty, and they're big enough to put a cat in, not a dog, but a cat. And so put her in there, wrapped her up in a nice little blanket and everything. So everybody came over, and they all turned it into a potluck.
Wow.
So everybody brought some food and stuff. And then one of the other staff members, she says, now, I know this is different, but in my family, when someone passes away, we always do a toast with a bit of scotch. So I've brought a small bottle, and I'd hope, some were like, I don't know if I could drink scotch, but it's like, well, and so we put her down in the hole and everything like that, said a few words about how much we loved her, and we did this toast because it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And then we all went back into the house and we had food together and everything. And I thought,
yeah,
see, now that was great.
It's wonderful. That is,
yeah.
It is just about connection, right? And just fun, and that's beautiful. I really love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really nice. And most of these people have moved on, and I don't really see them anymore, but
that moment together.
Yeah, exactly. And and the other thing I said, did you guys want to see her before we put her in the ground? And they were like, I don't know. I'm like, I've already looked. She looks just like she's sleeping. That's all she looks like. And you can still pat her and everything because she was put away right after passing. So they just, So they, I really liked it. I pat her, and I was like, to say goodbye to her.
Weird. We do open casket funerals for human.
Yeah.
Bodies just out and hit them and touch their hand and like, it's not weird at all. I think that's really cool.
So I think it's really important that we all accept what we want and what makes sense for us and everything, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit of the idea of moving forward, as you use when a pet passes. And I don't know, I'll put this out to you. Like, some people, they want to get a pet like right away. It's like literally days later, I have to get another dog or whatever. Now, there's one size does not fit all. We know that.
Yep.
Me, I'm of the mind that I think the pet has to be mourned and grieved to the point where you're ready to give the full amount of yourself, not replacing the previous pet. You have to start all over, new everything, right?
Yeah.
But everyone grieves differently. We know that. But I don't know. I always wonder when someone says, I'm going to go get another dog right now. I always wonder about that. Any thoughts?
I am with you. Like, my gut reaction was exact the same. Like, I feel like you have to take care of yourself first. It's that whole put your oxygen mask on first before you can put it on someone else, or fill your own cup before you can pour for someone else. Like, heal you as a human so that you can have the relationship you want with your new family member that you're bringing in. I know for us, we can't even talk about it. I don't know when we'll be able to decide if we will decide how. You can tell I'm already uncomfortable talking about that. But if you have other pets in your home, the thing that I have had since losing Kingston is I didn't realize how much he was my shadow, like my boy. So since he's passed and he was such a masculine energy, my Teddy Grams, the one who just came by with the little, him and I have a completely new relationship. Like, I didn't know how much of a relationship I wasn't getting with Teddy or with Mishka. Like, so if you have other pets, I think it's an opportunity to grieve with them and even grow your love with them. If you don't have any other pets, I still feel instinctually it's what you said. If you have a good support system, like if you have a partner, good family, good friends, somebody's checking in on you, I could see a scenario where you, by having another family member join you, and now it's the two of you, maybe you bond in honor of, with just really making sure what you said of, it's not a replacement. Like, this is a new relationship, and this is a new companion for you, and this is a new, this is your family as it is what it looks like today. But it's never going to be the same. So if you're trying to make it so that it's the same as it was before, that will never happen. It is more, because this is the family structure that you want. Maybe in those situations, I would say.
Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, it is individual. It is always one of those things where I think, you sure you really want to do that? But, they do. And I get it. Okay. But you know what? I just realized we should probably also touch on the fact that when you have multiple pet home, those pets are grieve too. They grieve faster.
Yes.
Than we do.
Yes.
But they definitely do go through a period of grief.
And they pick up their cues from you. So
yeah,
they're ready. They do grieve faster. So they're ready to go back for their walks and they want to play and do the things. If you are still stuck, they will then be stuck. They adapt to you, right? So that is what, for me and my husband, where we had said, Mishka had a Zoomy, and we're like, oh my God, we haven't even heard that sound in a few weeks, right? It's been the tapping of their feet on the wood floor. So she's itching for a walk. We need to take them. And then we did, and it was the fresh air, and we're both looking at each other and we're crying and we're missing Kingston, but we're also seeing their tails wiggling and they're smelling all the things. And we were like, this is important. We just have to remember how to feel happiness again too.
Yeah, because they need you too, right? Yeah. So they look to you. And yeah, I think that, when the little one passed two years ago, we took her to the other cat and to the dog, just briefly, let them smell her, and just so they knew.
We did
yeah. Did you do the same? Yeah.
Yeah. Home, and we brought all three in and just to smell him, and they kind of nudged him and he wasn't moving. It's also, as hard as loss is, it is also still the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah.
Right? We all will eventually transition, and it's nothing to be scared of. It's as easy as going to sleep, right? We do it every night. And so I had to get myself comfortable with that and really thinking about that for the others, where I know as a human, we think about these things and we worry and what do we believe in and all of that. But for animals, I think for them, it's a very natural. I wanted them to know what happened because when we would take him to the emergency room to drain the fluid around his heart, and if he had to stay overnight and we'd come back, they would go looking in the garage and they're like, where is he? Like, you took him somewhere. They're smart. They know you took him somewhere. I wanted them to know, and they did. I think they understood, like, he has passed. Okay, he's not coming back. So I think that is important.
Yeah, I do. And I think we need to, acknowledge it. And some people will say, we did lose our other dog, whatever, we're noticing. And it's like, that's okay. Just give that dog the support it needs.
Yeah.
Because it's grieving too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else in your book that you'd like to sort of touch upon at all? Or we kind of
we kind of went everywhere, which I so appreciate you letting me do this.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the book launch and how people can get it and everything. Tell me about that.
Book launch is March 21st here, which I'm really excited. It will eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, be on Amazon in the next 2 weeks. So I don't know when this will be published, but maybe by the time it's published.
We're going out fast with this. So yeah.
Okay. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, it will be on Amazon. I'm not a New York Times bestseller. So you will have to put in pets or family and then my name, Erika Sinner, for it to pop up.
Okay.
Just because I'm brand new.
Yep.
And so it'll be available in 2 paperback versions. Both of them will be color on the outside, but the inside, there's pictures that I've included. And so there's some that are color, and then there's the other version that's black and white.
Nice.
Yeah. And the color, it's more expensive to print in color. And when I saw the price, I was like, what? So I had to have the black and white version, but the cover's still beautiful for both of them. And then there will be an ebook, which will go on Kindles or Apple Books. You can already pre-order it on Apple Books today, and then it'll automatically just drop into your device on that day too.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So they still have to wait till March 21st to access all of that, though, right?
Yes, on Kingston's birthday. Yeah.
Okay.
But if they follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I will be doing some early edition giveaways, some signed ones, even maybe some potographs where I have puppies on them. And so the kids' Instagram is crazy, the number 4 pay, PEI, or my Instagram is Erika, ERIKA _Sinner. And it really is Sinner. It's not Skinner. No one's this is my married name. I'm okay.
That's all right. So your Instagram is Erika _Sinner.
Yes. Yeah.
And they can, okay. So if they had any questions, they could contact you as well.
Yes. Or if their HR department's like, what does the language need to look like? I'm always happy to copy and paste it. I really, I want to create these support systems for other people. So I'm doing my part of, I check my messages every day. So yeah, I would love to connect.
Well, you definitely have me thinking. I'm really thinking that I need to speak to some powers that be with regards to, at the very least, allowing a day.
Yes.
For someone. Absolutely. I would say more than a day. I agree. But if that's all you can start with, then.
Yep. If you go to www.petsourfamily.info. So it's in versus.com.info. Scroll down to the middle of the page. The workplace resources are there. So you can download those today. I didn't want one to have to wait for the book. I launched the website last year, and I even put that on there where I was like, you might see misspellings, you might see, but the resources are correct. So I knew I needed to get these out to you. So if you want those, they're already up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that, people that are listening as well can actually think, I hope their brains are starting to have light bulbs too, like me. That this is something that we can reach out to our employers for. I think it's what you've done. It's a really good thing. And I think of things from every avenue when it comes to pets because of the show and everything. But I can't say I've thought of this. And I think it's amazing.
We assume people will understand. I think your circle probably really cares about you and they would probably understand. For me, the reason I did this is just recognizing, I think it's my dog's Instagram. They have like 40,000 followers. So I found to talk to people of all walks of life. And some live alone and some live in jobs that don't care about them and others have no family. And I know how I felt being able to talk to other people. I can't imagine doing it alone. And so I think when you don't have that I think that's what came to me is that I just feel so lucky about my workplace, but then my social media, when I'm crying at 2 a.m, somebody in Australia or Russia or Africa is awake to be able to be met.
Yeah.
And I know I needed that level of support. So I just want others to have it too. And we do it for humans. We pre-plan for these things. We put it in policies, and it's real.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I really thank you so much for taking this time to talk to me today. I really do. I think pet loss is a very important topic, and you're right. It needs to be, more to the forefront. There's no doubt. And that's even more in my mind now. So I'd like to thank you for writing Pets or Family. And I really wish you all the best with this because I think it's a really, really good resource and something that you've put your obviously heart and soul into.
Thank you. I have. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. I'm looking forward to reading it myself. So so best of luck with that. So I'd like to say take care to you and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome. All right. You take care for now.
Okay.
Well, what do you think, everyone? Was that not food for thought? I think Erika's commitment to the topic of understanding pet bereavement is quite amazing. The journey that we go through with our pets and then with their passing is something that only pet parents can really understand. But As an employer who may or may not be a pet parent, the idea of extending heartfelt empathy and care to an employee by recognizing the depth of the sorrow is something that is not really at the forefront of employee policies. I love the work she has put in to provide resources and tools to aid readers in launching their own quest to an employer to open dialogue on this matter. This is groundbreaking. So the book is Pets Are Family by Erika Sinner, and you can get workplace resources right away at www.petsarefamily.info or visit her Instagram at Erika_Sinner. There may even be a photo of me and Rory there. Thanks again to Erika for taking the time to speak with me and for bringing to light a topic that hasn't been explored until now. Give this a think, everyone, because as I say, knowing is caring. Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow or subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and to make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspets.com with topics you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspets.com and let me know what you think and how we can improve upon it. Thanks for caring.